war in World War II to fight for the freedom of speech. We didn't fight for freedom of speech of hatred. Many of our members, I'm the National Commander of Jewish War Veterans, and over 50,000 of our men died fighting for your right to free speech here now. I don't understand why you come out with such hatred.
Phil, excuse me, Phil.
Yes, Mr. Muhammad. Sir.
You make me sick to my stomach with that. Because at the same time that you were fighting, you were not fighting for the freedom and independence of black people. Soldiers, black soldiers in segregated companies lost their lives on foreign soil there, but would have to come back and fight just to get a bite to eat and not have to go to the toilet on the side of the road somewhere in the bushes. So you're nothing but hypocrites, and you won't pull that small-time stuff over on me.
Yes, ma'am.
Who fought for our ability to have free speech? We know it wasn't them. Hell, we don't fight for the right of freedom of speech. We speak freely because we understand that we're the only people who's going to be able to tell our truth so that we can know freedom and sustain freedom. Because there is a contingency of people who seek to destroy the very lives of those who stand on truth amidst falsehood. Today, we're going to be interviewing a special guest, my brother, from a host of Do the Knowledge Radio, Knowledge Born Allah. Welcome to the Prince's Power Hour Podcast.
Get ready for power. Prince's Power Hour Podcast.
Welcome back to another installment of, I almost said Do the Knowledge Radio Show. But today is a special edition collaboration, so it's going to feel like Do the Knowledge Radio Show. But welcome back again to the Prince's Power Hour Podcast. Again, where we seek to have another type of conversation, a conversation not just for our edification, but for the information that's needed for the proper application so that we can change our predicament and circumstance. I'm going to bring on my brother, and in me doing so, I got to introduce him properly. But I just want to take a quick moment, to discuss what our dear brother, Dr. Khaled, was speaking to right before we opened up this podcast. And in the audience of the Phil Donahue Show, the former, Army vet stood up and said, bold and audaciously, that we died so that you could have the right for freedom of speech. As he was reprimanding, or he believed that he was reprimanding Dr. Khaled for his egregious and out of place speech and tone that he had on Phil Donahue, that he thought that he had some sense of superiority based on his whiteness, based on his perceived privilege, based on just an innate arrogance and outright insidiousness that is naturally a part of not just his culture, but his orientation, right? He spoke these words, and I want to re-emphasize them. We died so that you could have the freedom of speech. As if the black man and woman has been taken into account in any form or facet of human activity when Europeans fight their war. In a lot of instances, their wars are fought over who's going to dominate and control their former, current, and if they had it their way, their future slave, you and I. So, in proper fashion, Dr. Khaled spoke to the reality of the hypocrisy of the words that were shared by that European who in error spoke to a false reality. Why did I open up with that? Last week, we talked about the need for proper leadership, and there's some discussions I want to broach with that, right? And I'm going to integrate into the conversation some points that I just want to kind of align with what we're going to be talking about today with my brother, Knowledge Born Allah. But it is appropriate, it's germane to the conversation because even though we are in the midst, irrespective to racial background, a bombardment of propaganda and lies and deception that is overwhelming, right? The consciousness of the black man and woman to program him to work against his own best self-interest. The propagandizing of our history, of our current political affairs, of our spiritual and cultural practices and the like thereof, the weaponization of the word and how it is used against us is at an all-time high. And even though we are in the information age, we are at a deficit because we are laden with information that is useless and unreliable relative to our progress. This brother, Knowledge Born Allah, is the antithesis to what I just said. He is diametrically opposed in his character, in his presentation, and in his platform. Multiple platforms, but in particular of Do the Knowledge Radio Show, to combat, irrespective to their blackness and or whiteness, any ethnicity or religious persuasion, the lies that have been promulgated to detour you and to distract you and myself from what our true aim should be, which is the ability to define our own freedom and to live by our own ways, our mores, our cultural norms. Brother, Knowledge Born Allah is one of the last truly authentic platforms that represent the black authentic struggle for freedom and salvation. He is my brother, he is my friend, and in a lot of instances, my teacher. So without further ado, I want to bring on my brother just to introduce himself to you and I. Brother Knowledge Born Allah. Brother.
Crown Prince, how you feeling?
Hey, I feel great. Hold on, let's get a proper applause for you, brother. Go right ahead, sir.
It's an honor to be here in your presence, in your midst. I know we've done a bunch of these together in reverse, so it's an honor to be in your midst and in the midst of the presence of someone such as yourself. Truly one who is remarkable and a remarkable example of what it means to be a man in a tumultuous time where even manhood is optional. Manhood is questionable. To stand as a man in these days and times and in the era of toxic masculinity and all of these other buzzwords that are thrown around associated with manhood. To be a man, to be a brother, to be a father, to be a husband, to be a teacher, to be a scholar, to be a warrior, to be a servant of the Most High. You exemplify that in everything that you do. So I'm glad to be in your midst on this illustrious platform in this dispensation of time. That's one of those ones I got from you. In this dispensation of time to speak about the day and time and what must be done.
Yeah. Well, brother, I just want to say, for one, I don't deserve those accolades and compliments, but as you reprimanded me before, I'm walking into that. And so it is important that when we are given our flowers, when we are made to be known the reality of our impact and the effects of our work, we should not shy away from it. We don't have to be arrogant in it, but we should appreciate and acknowledge, our brothers and our sisters speaking to the impactful accomplishments of our work and our toil. So, brother, I'm humbly, and graciously appreciative of those words. But, Man, we brought you on here for a particular reason. You're doing something that is, I believe, monumental and transformative. Not only have you radicalized and transformed media and podcasting in a way that is really unparalleled to what else is made available, and that's not to be disparaging to anybody else in what they're doing, because they're great brothers and sisters doing great things on the behalf of the progress of the black man and woman. But when I say that I have never seen, and you've done thousands of episodes, but I almost know for 100% certainty that my statement is about to be 100% correct. I've never seen anything degrading relative to black people. I didn't see anything disparaging to black men or black women, anything exploitive to black children or the black struggle for progress. I've never seen any buffoonery, no coonery, no display of theatrics for the sake of entertainment. I've only seen black men and women come on your platform to talk about what is needed and what is being done in the striving of our own reality and the ability to find our own destiny. That, brother, humbly, in my opinion, I'm going to say, sets you apart from everyone else. One episode has not been dedicated to a light-hearted moment. Not that you don't have jovial moments, not that you're not able to laugh and joke and express yourself in a warm-hearted way, but every conversation, the crux of it, brother, is centered around how do we improve black plight. And that, man, that's fantastic and phenomenal. So in your mastery of that, before I go to what you're doing now, can you for a moment speak to why, I know why, but if you can share with my audience why that is important to you and why you have taken that path and that road, irrespective to the compromising of the lot of views and notoriety you could have gotten taking another vehicle, taking another path, integrating into your shows more of the theatrics and the comical components of black subculture and our culturation, but staying true to what we should be doing as a people.
Very excellent questions. Very excellent question, Crown Prince. Excuse me. I want to make sure you can hear me okay.
Loud and clear, brother.
Hear me? Okay. The answer is simple yet nuanced. My mother and my father worked in this community like your mother and father. And they spent every waking moment of their life in the physical world for our betterment, through one medium or another. And it's with their charge and the charge of my grandfather, my grandmother, and my ancestors that are before me, my elders that are with me, my peer group that we coincide and collaborate with, my children, and the children to come from those children, and our future ancestral generations is the reason why I don't shy away or cower from the responsibility that comes along with it. You represent a holistic dynamic to Black liberation. And I was there in your city, and I was there with your lovely family, royal in every regard, the warmest welcome I could ever receive. But if I was not doing this work that I was doing, we wouldn't have met. That's one of the greatest blessings I could ever receive. Meeting you, building that bridge with you and Moray, meeting Moray, and doing what we did with Voices Zion. It unearthed a space of history that was untold, not by us. The mass media might have a hand a little bit to talk about what the Village of Peace was, but the true dynamics of the story has never been told to the general public. The general public is literally unaware of this mass exodus and what it meant what went into it and everything. And so many lives are intertwined in the space. That's one story. That's one story with a bunch of different vantage points and everything that's going along with it. And the world had no clue about it. Right? So even with that, in essence, that's what Do the Knowledge Radio represents, the voice of the voiceless. Now, I could have went off of the improper propaganda campaign that exists even amongst the conscious. There are people who are conscious capitalists who capitalize off of the suffering of the people and the willingness of those representatives to be out here to do this laudable work. So they're out here cashing in, literally and figuratively, off of the plight of our people and offering nothing in return for that which they receive. There's not in the space of reciprocity, but it's in the space of everything you said that I don't represent. The clowning, the buffoonery, the coonery, the exploitation, the misrepresentation. So I saw all of that and I had a decision to make. I had a decision to make to righteously represent the true essence of what we need to see, who we are and what we need to see. So in that same essence, back to that story, I was told that 10% of the Israelite community receives 100% of the attention. That's what I heard years ago. And I always kept it in the uppermost space of my mind. So when it was time to interact, I was always looking for these righteous roots. So wading through everything and everyone, I was able to find this story. So again, if I was not on my post with All Nation Black Property in view, you understand what I'm saying? I wouldn't have been in the proper position to be able to be here to walk through this story. So this is one example of the resilience and the time that it takes to continue to build something noteworthy in that aspect in regards to something that would be great and powerful for our future generations to inherit.
Brother, I mean, as I shared with you all, and I want to reiterate the reality of why I preference, my opening with making mention of that, because we don't live in an era where integrity is the barometer in which a man measures his success. We don't live in an era where men formulate their decision not on monetary gain or how they will be received in the public or how it may, affect their likes on social media. That's not how he's built. That's how the world seemingly is being built, but we didn't come from that stock. We base our decisions on what is the most integral and what is in line with our mission and our purpose, and that purpose being the freedom of our people. All 50 plus million of us in America and the billion of us globally, ultimately, right? And that is the manner in which this man has not just developed his own personal persona, but that's the way he governs every action that he lives by in his life, personally and publicly. And I have shared intimate spaces with him where we've been able to have those private conversations. He's been in my home, both in Chicago and when I stayed in Atlanta. I've been in personal places with him, and we've got to discuss serious subject matter and talk about those things that, you don't see on social media. And when I tell you this brother is authentic, he is what you get, he is what you see, I mean that so truly and genuinely. And that's why, this is important for me, just to make more people, I'm sure everybody on my platform is already familiar with you, but to refamiliarize and reacclimate them to the importance of why they need to be not just watching your show, not just supporting what we're about to discuss right now, but galvanizing around spirits like yours so that we encourage great men such as yourself to continue this work, because there is really no societal reward for what you, brother, have dedicated your life to, what we dedicate our lives to. So without further ado, brother, you have ventured into another realm of what I would say one of the most important realms of the edification of black people and the preservation of culture, and that's enter into the literary world and authoring some books, brother. You've created a series of ebooks. You're an author now. I'm sure you were already before. You write and talk and teach so much, but you've created these series of ebooks, brother, that is profound, and I'm so appreciative. Again, let me say publicly, thank you for sending me those books, brother. Who I read a lot, so to read, my brother, and what you put together, those concise but very impactful writings, is transformative, and it's something that I seek to teach my children. Right, that's mandatory reading for them. But I want you to explain why I'm so excited and why I'm saying that it's important, not just for myself, but for all of us to immerse themselves in this particular writings that you've created. So, brother, can you just explain what you've done, then why you have done it?
Well, another excellent question, Crown Prince. I'm
just trying to keep up with you and your great interviewing skills.
Check them out. Look, I've been promising the people for 9 years a book. I've been promising them for 9 years for a book, going into 10 years now. So we're hitting the 10-year home stretch, and I wanted to write a book that started out just telling the story and the sojourn of Through the Knowledge Radio. So in the process of getting things together for that book, another book idea came. And another book idea came. And another book idea came. And another book idea came. Those book ideas, they came. And in the process of getting the research together for those particular books, opportunities to dialogue and document said experiences via video, those opportunities came as well. So another opportunity to do a documentary series came. So now it's the books and the documentary series. So in the interim of doing all of those things, I said I needed to do something recently within the last 2 months that would be a snapshot of what's to come, to provide a small dose of what's to come. And these ebook series, the Voices of the Diaspora, was created with that in mind. So it was created to give a little snapshot into the mind and provide me personally with a proof of concept of what was to come. I needed to see something done, Crown Prince, with my name on it. You understand what I'm saying? To propel me to continue to go. Because as a deep researcher and as an educator and as a scholar, the arduous task it is to do research, critical research, right? And then to put it together in a synthesized fashion that's palatable. So I had to put all of these things together in my mind and then put it in a volume and then find my exit strategy out of the joint. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want, folks say the name Knowledge Vaughn, they're like, oh yeah, he wrote the Bible. Nah, I'm not reading that. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, I can't hit him up, hit him with the Bible first. So I have to put out these little snippets that are packed full of information to see something from conception to birth and now the growth and development of the process. So the first 5 volumes, they're done. I'm working on the other volume 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the reason, I'll get to the reason why I created these ebooks, I was targeting young Black people, young African people who don't like to read. I created it with them in mind. They have the skill set, they have the willingness, but that task, it was a liberating space for you and I. That task of reading becomes a chore because it's presented to them as work.
Yeah.
They're in environments that are not welcoming to them. They're in environments that capitalize off of them. They're in environments that exploit them. And they present them with information that does not reflect their thinking, their cultural values, or anything internally whatsoever, right? So now reading becomes another job. So they have to read to take a test. You understand what I'm saying? So they got to read this stuff that's not connected to them, that's disconnected from their particular reality. And it's not anything welcoming or warm to them or nothing culturally appropriate. You're learning about somebody else's ancestry, and it's taught to you and made in the image and the likeness of your opening, to be plain. So I wanted to present something that felt like a book, with the book aesthetic, but speaking to both hemispheres of the brain, the creative space and the analytical space, and have it presented in no limited time. So these volumes are short, they're concise, but they're packed with so many resources and opportunities for you to do a further analysis. And if you have a curriculum of any kind, you have a space where young Black people, young African people are meeting, whether it's before school, after school, weekend school, whatever the case may be, a political education environment, a team building environment, whatever it is, you can utilize these third-party tools as articulation pieces to be able to spark the brilliance and the creativity of the young people around you. So I did the work for you. So if you are a husband or a wife or a father or a mother or a sister or a brother, and you want to introduce notable figures to young people, and you don't have the skill set to talk about it, you can just show it to them. You can show it to them and say, hey, do some research on this person or that person, or just tell me 3 things that you learned about this person that you didn't know before. And begin the courageous conversation of reawakening the God mind and the zeal for proper education. Proper education always corrects errors.
Yes.
So that proper education is something that begins at home. Your training goes out in that environment, right? So we send folks to school, and that's training, where the education is at home. My zeal and love for our people begin at home. The training that had the odds of the people that I love with me came from school. Fighting at school, all the stuff that's going on. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it was love at home. It was love in that environment. And outside, because that school space was a war zone, you was war ready going into that place. So you got training over there. That wasn't education. So with that in mind, these volumes are dedicated to spark the creativity from different vantage points in regards to, our future generations, and imbue them with a spirit and power to do for self.
Yeah.
To do for self in a multitude of manners.
Again, brothers and sisters, first, I would be remiss in my duties and my responsibilities. Shout out to our brother, Killer Priest, who tuned in. Killer Priest is on the line. I posted up his comments. a beloved brother, again, who's done great work for the community, who created his own platform and podcast to give brothers like myself and Brother Knowledge the ability to articulate to, mainstream the necessary, what we know to be the necessary conversation that needs to be integrated into our conscious minds, into our conscious socialization. So I want to thank Killah Priest for all that he's doing and all that he has done, on behalf of the advancement of black people, African people. Let me say this, brother. What you just stated was so important. They say that Americans spend more money on lottery tickets than any other commodity, movie theater, clothes, so on and on and on, right? And we know the majority of those who purchase lottery tickets are at the bottom of the economic class, that they spend at a minimum $400 a year on lottery tickets when the majority don't have an additional $400 for a rainy day at any given point. Mm-hmm. And when you think, you say, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would you spend $400 on something that is almost impossible to achieve, right? It's a 1 in 100 millionth of a chance of winning, right? And with obviously the major lotteries, and even the scratch-offs, $10, $20, but you probably spent $400 to win that $20, so you're in a deficit. And you can take that $400 and you can save it, compound interest, right? You could take $200 of that dollars that you spent, let that compound, maybe take the other $200 and reinvest it, maybe spend $200 on something that you could sell or flip and obviously make your money grow. But to have that type of frame, you got to have a certain level of understanding, a certain level of example, a certain level of teaching, a certain level of exposure, right? When you have traditionally been conditioned to be hopeless and to put your future and security and your success in almost mythical odds, right? Like whenever you attempt to do for self, it seems that your attempts are futile and they've been destroyed by your open enemy, right? And so it's like, hell, that don't work. So let me just pray for a mystery God, right? And that's what the lotto represents. And a lot of us use that same approach to religion and a lot of other factors of human inactivity. The reason why I bring that up is because you cannot have the proper frame and participate in what I just said as far as a behavioral practice for decades on end. But you can't have the proper frame unless you have the proper orientation and the proper education and dedication towards a greater vision of who you are, not just in the moment, but who you are historically. And your ability to make readily available in a plain language that is digestible, not just for somebody who is politically and historically astute, as I believe myself to be, but even that who is a novice in history and reading and scholastic affairs can take that information, digest it, and then make it applicable. So now that their orientation is not that of a victim, it's not that of a slave, but one who has the ability to co-create their future and prosperity with the creator of all living things, to be one that is prosperous and not to their own detriment. You are reorienting our thinking to be free based on a knowledge and information that was intentionally removed and restricted as far as being actual credible, relevant information and understanding to our people, in particular our youth. And brother, that is one of the most revolutionary things a man in particular, a black man, can do for his people and for the generations to come. We talk about the last conversation I had last week, brother. I don't know if you've seen it, but I kind of was going down this rabbit hole and narrative of, do we need leadership? And what does this modern day leadership represent, right? what is their responsibilities, what are their obligations. I hate to quote a European, but it's a profound statement. He probably learned it from us. Napoleon Bonaparte said, he was asked, what makes a military genius? And he said, it's the ability to do simple things when everyone else around you is going crazy. Everyone around us is going crazy, brother. It's time for us to hone in and go into those principles, land, language, and culture, understanding our history, doing for self, being amongst self, right? Learning how to do the things that make a people of consequence and make a people autonomous. Those are not complicated endeavors. They're actually very simple. Eating right, exercising, understanding the importance of family, understanding the importance of manhood, womanhood, and rearing strong, intelligent, culturally oriented children. You don't have to create rocket ships to change your future or to create a prosperous future. You can build onto that, but if you just start on what's been taken from us, the art of military science, the art of marriage, the art of finance, and the importance of cultural orientation. And that is due to a lack of proper education, brother. So what you say about that before I go any further? Because I hear that brain. I can hear those turning in your head, brother. I know that look. I know you multitasking, but I know that look. And we've had conversations like this before. So before I go into my direct next question, I kind of want you just to respond to what I said, if you don't mind.
I mean, when we get to the volumes, all of these questions will answer themselves. I promise. I created these with all of those questions in mind. And I'm sure that Napoleon Bonaparte, when he met a man like Hannibal,
come on,
he understood truly what that meant and the simplicity of things. You know, they create archetypes in the film structure to share their story, right? They create narratives in their film structure. We're in a selection cycle that we spoke about in much detail.
Yeah.
And there's no coincidence that the film Gladiator 2 is coming out during this selection cycle. There's no accident about the time that it's being released. There's no accident right now, today. Today is Fannie Lou Hamer's birthday. Honest to that warrior queen. On the eve of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's birthday, which is tomorrow. That the movie that's playing in the movie theaters is The Joker, Part 2. So who is the joke on? Who is the Joker? In cosmology, who is the trickster and what's the functionality of the trickster? So all of these aspects in regards to that, the power of the pen, when they say the pen is mightier than the sword is for a moment, the pen is for time immemorial.
Go ahead, brother.
What's written about you will be around a lot longer than the sword that you might have wielded or been wielded against you for your destruction. So this particular space in regards to the importance of this pen, we have yet to have an experience here in the Hells and Smells of North America where we begin to tell our own story. Whether you look in the cinematic space, you look in the space of academia, all of these places, everybody and their mother from all over the world is inferring about Black life, one way or the other. The entertainment industry and the mainstream media have a job, have a task. And that job and that task is something that they work tirelessly and have worked tirelessly for the last 500 years here in specific, but for the last 6,000 years. They spent the last 6,000 years crafting a war strategy for our decimation and destruction. So if you pick up a device and expect to see anything other than divisiveness in regards to us, you're in error mentally. You're in error emotionally. You're in error spiritually. You understand? Like, so when you look on the television, when you pick up a newspaper, people still read newspapers. If you scroll through your timeline in social media, what you're seeing is a barrage and a blitz attack on your psyche to see yourself other than self and to have yourself in a position where you're feuding internally.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're feuding internally. So the war mind, the military strategist, the genius of the military strategist is the genius of the strategist with the ability and capability to be able to sustain themselves to continue the war effort so that everyone that comes from the womb is already acculturated in that sense of the battle until victory.
Mm-hmm.
So victory is achieved and restoration is taking place. So with this interruption of our lifespan, we have been inundated with a healthy, unhealthy diet of self-destruction.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the response is to be able to present self-destruction in a way that is palatable, and you never get to who's responsible. You know, our lessons teach the trader made an inter-orientation saying that they will receive more gold for their labor, more than they were earning in their own country. The operative word in that whole lesson is more. The operative word in there is more. So when you're presented with this inter-orientation, dissatisfaction is something that creeps into your being. So you have what you're being provided as something that is sustainable to you and your family. Now somebody's looking to offer you more. You don't even think to investigate the source to see if this is a credible source. You just go into the space of dissatisfaction. So if they could give me more, what's happening with my own people? They don't see what I do with enough value. You see how that internal strife goes? You fight within, so you fight without. So that more gold became something that made you mentally gluttonous. So now what do you have to do to get more gold? What do you have to do in order to get more gold? That they would receive more gold. They didn't even see one bar of gold, Crown Prince. You didn't even have to produce any gold for them to see. All you had to do was give a promise of more gold. And that was enough for them to betray everything and everyone that they knew. So the optimization of this dissatisfaction comes into play in regards to that right there. That seeding in the mind that the parasite host relationship works so well that the host thinks it needs the parasite in order to live, even though the parasite is killing it. More gold. And that's it. Did they receive more gold? No. Then what happened? The trader disappeared and there was nobody left to speak their language because their language was gone, because their language went from what it was to this disruption and its destruction. Destruction became their language now. So the only people that was there was people with their language confounded. So they were no longer speaking their father and their mother tongue. They were speaking the tongue of their enemy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was no voice of reason there, right? There was no one left to speak their language. The trader disappeared. The trader don't got to be there no more. The trader made the interorientation and watch it played out. So now we're doing Yakub's forgotten trick knowledge. Lying, stealing, killing, and mastering the original man. So it looks like it's self-inflicted. So when you look for the hand that's responsible, you're like, nah, that's on us.
Yeah. Yes, on us.
That's on us. You understand? Play at your own risk. You know, the video games you used to see back in the day say, play at your own risk. You show up to the car lot, they have buyer beware.
Yeah.
So it looks as if we don't have an open enemy. The open enemy that we see, we look at in the mirror. So that's the arduous task. If you look at it from their perspective, that was their game plan the entire time. Because force on force was a situation that they learned that they lost every time. So we have to seed in dissension in order to cause fratricidal experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Cheating, lying, stealing, killing. So that process of escalation to do what's necessary in order to cause strife and stress. So for those that they can buy off, they give them a promise of more gold. They offer them promises and never deliver, right? They put them in perceived positions of power and authority, and they look like they're doing something, right? They give them titles. They call them stars, right? They do all these kinds of things, but just as much as they could give it to you, they could take it away. So that lust for more has you in a space where you're always in the detriment. You're always in the deficit. You're always fighting off your back foot because you're not set. And you're always on the defense. The whole situation with Job, you remember, he said, I was going up and down in the earth seeking whom I should devour.
Yeah.
So you out here looking for more, and more is going to show up. That more detriment, that more disgust, that more space where you're in that vein.
You said something, brother. You said a lot. When you talk about the acculturation process, I think about Howard Cruz's book, The Crisis of the Negro Intellectual, and he spoke to, there was a point in our contemporary history where we had an opportunity to set the tone culturally that would give us the proper perspective towards freedom and sovereignty and self-agency and self-governance. He said, but it seemed one of his narratives was that the black intelligentsia had placed the responsibility, the burden of the responsibility on the entertainment fraction of Black America, the responsibility of defining our cultural orientation. And knowing that they were an important aspect of the black whole, their primal focus was expression, but not necessarily the historical chronological evidence to fully express the complete picture. And so over time, and obviously real life desires of clothing, food, shelter takes precedence, the expression was more not on the black representation, the cultural orientation, but the expression was being accepted and amalgamation. And white people who created their own fractional component in white society, what they call the white leftist and radical. And then you go into, the more artsy European, especially in that New York area, that really compromised Harlem from the early 1900s. And the Harlem Renaissance, as brilliant and as beautiful as a time that it was infiltrated from the very beginning. Like you could have an organization called the National Advancement Association for Colored People that were ran top to bottom by white jewelry. I digress that point. But you seen that they would be the vanguard of the cultural representation for black people, black entertainers, but they had already went through the acculturation process of white society, and they knew that they could be, as you just stated, bought off and accepted to the parties and be trotted around, as a Cocker Spaniel or a poodle like the Europeans take their canines. And that was sufficient enough because it felt that it gave us some reprieve, it gave us some sexual and social access, and to a certain extent, a level of protection from physical harm and death, as long as we stay within the confines of those socially acceptable circles. I say that because we've seen how that has morphed in what we see today, where there is not a black leader who is not a black entertainer. Even those who are black intellectuals, to become known to the masses, have to be entertaining, have to become caricatures of themselves. Some of the most brilliant men, and we don't have to go into no names, when you see how they gained or elevated or sustained their fame, is through theatrics. Right? I'm saying that because, one, I mentioned that you have not participated in that, and that again has to be continuously acknowledged. But I want the audience to not misconstrue my words. There's a place and time for everything. But when the complete representation is those who, whether intentional or unintentional, have caused a maladjusting to the true desires of the black whole, which is sovereignty, autonomy, and self-determination, then you have enemies, right? And like you said, that parasitic reality is more and more evident. I bring this up because your writings, your podcast, but in particular these series that you've had with your ebooks, and what I've read thus far, is a tool used in particular to our youth to combat that reality. So my question is, and I'll close on this point, and I'm gonna go right into my question because it's relevant. 1960 Time magazine had "Is God Dead" as the cover of their magazine. I think about one of those European philosophers, writers, Friedrich Nietzsche, who wrote "God is Dead," right? And when you look at that time when he wrote it around the 1860s, when you look at the state of the global black man and woman, it was as if the European Western society had fully conquered and imperialized and enslaved the former dominance of the black presence on the planet. So in essence, the morality of the earth systems and cultural orientation had been compromised to the point that they were perceived as dead. The black man in the West was in chains. The continent was completely in upheaval and in disarray, and was being raped and ravished from every corner of the continent, east, west, south, and central. And then you look at the diaspora, who obviously in the Caribbean and the Isles were facing the same fate. So God essentially had been conquered. In their eyes, they were, whether he was saying in the sense of, and I know most people don't perceive he was saying in the braggadocious sense because he ended up saying some other things outside of that, but I want to just emphasize this point. It has seemed that the black man had been conquered and that God man had died. And you know what I mean by that. What in your writings have you focused on, especially in the next 5 series, to resurrect that God mind to reverse or completely destroy the acculturation that we have succumbed to, that can reorient, the proper perspective relative to what we culturally should be doing and not what we call culture today, that is rooted in the entertainment realm and their participatory actions of amalgamation and compromising to get financial and other satisfactions. If that makes sense.
If that makes sense.
I just want to make sure I elucidated that correctly.
You are good. You are good, Crown Prince. This is volume 1. Can you see it?
Yeah, I'm going to put it on the screen.
All right.
It's on the screen. Voices of the Diaspora.
All right. This is volume 1. Volume 1. Stories of Black entrepreneurs building a better future. Entrepreneurship. How do you take this determined idea that's in your head, that's tugging on your being? This doesn't say jobs. This doesn't say, how to fill out a resume for you to go get a job, to go work with somebody. For those who have the inclination to be entrepreneurs, this is for you. This is volume 1. Volume 1, beginning with that determined idea. Whatever your goals, aims, your aspirations, your ideas, your inklings, wherever you are within your being, this is it. This is it. This is the first thing that you do. These are the processes. These are the action steps associated with that. So if your inclination is, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches, peace and blessings be upon him, is that separation is better than prayer.
Yes, he said.
If separation is better than prayer, what's your action plan to separate? What's your exit strategy from the yoke of your open enemies with an S? From the most extreme to the most subtle beast of the field. What does your action process look like? How do you divest from what you are invested in? How do you divest from being accomplices to your own destruction? How do you divest from being accomplices for the hell that our future generations will catch if we don't divest, if we don't invest, if we don't invest the sweat equity necessary to be able to divest? So volume 1, Voices of the Diaspora, stories of the black entrepreneurs building a better future. So in this, what I said about targeting our brothers and sisters, our young creatives, our future generations who have this in mind, but don't have the know-how, and they're fumbling through, striving to figure it out. So this is a spark to give them the blueprint or the black print to be able to begin to have that courageous conversation from within and show them success models that they can research and look up to see if that's something palatable to them or not. To begin to have a critical understanding and form a critical analysis to make an informed decision about this entrepreneurial space, to see if this is something that is for them. In their voice, the voice of someone who is on this entrepreneurial track, and someone's in the framework of this history that they can see eye to eye with. So I got a soundtrack. Okay, look, it looked like a book, it feel like a book, it sound like a book, but it's not a book. It's a little bit of the ingredients that are necessary for you to begin that process. It's an inspiration. It's a spark of divine intelligence to spark your divine intelligence. So when you reawaken the God mind from within, you'll get to work because God works. God creates, God builds, God destroys, whatever is necessary to be able to get what's needed to be done. So I got a soundtrack that I put with each volume to give that spark of divine intelligence and motivation. So this is volume 1, Voices of the Diaspora. I'm going to read something from the first page. I know y'all heard that whoosh. That was a page turn. Okay, you got to have all of the aesthetics. You understand? You only get one shot, and you got to make your shot when you shoot your shot. Okay, gotta make sure it's a good shot. All right. So, entrepreneurship has always been a vital component of economic empowerment within the Black community. It represents not just the means of financial independence, but also a powerful tool for social change, innovation, and community upliftment. Black entrepreneurs have constantly defied the odds, creating businesses that provide essential services, generate employment, and foster community development. Voices of the Diaspora, stories of Black entrepreneurs building a better future, is a testament to the resilience, ingenuity, and unwavering spirit of Black entrepreneurs who continue to break barriers and pave the way for future generations. Through this work, we aim to inspire, educate, and empower readers by sharing the remarkable stories of trailblazers. This book seeks to highlight the stories of Black entrepreneurs who make significant impacts in various industries by sharing their journeys, challenges, and triumphs. We hope to provide a source of inspiration and practical insight for aspiring entrepreneurs. Each chapter delves into a different aspect of entrepreneurship, from historical context and modern innovations to overcoming obstacles and building support systems. Ultimately, this book is a celebration of the entrepreneurial spirit and a call to action for supporting and nurturing Black-owned businesses. So that's an introduction, right?
Yes, sir.
It's so much in that space. I'm telling, like just reading it out loud. Just thinking about you sitting down with your young people and they say, "Oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. Or I want to go into business for myself. Or I want to own my own." They already have that creative zeal and spark within them. Now, where's the nurturing aspect of that process? You see what I'm saying? So this is what's made with it in mind. It look like a book. It feel like a book, but it's not a book. And then you got some music to go along with it. So this music is from my brother Omawale of United Front, aka Ambassador O, aka Doc Mokti, with the essence of what it meant to have a spark of divine intelligence with a jewel. And I got to shout out my brother D Banks of D Banks Designs, because he took my chicken scratch and he brought it to life. So this is the illustrator who saw enough in what I presented to be able to deal with these images and the imagery that's associated in the volume. So play a little bit of this song real quick, go through the volume.
It was the gold capital. Mansa Musa was considered the wealthy.
Musa Jewels. Ladies say I'm handsome, cool but cruel. This is not Langston Hughes buffoons. My scholastic aptitude is too maroon. Revolutionaries, gangsters, goons is true. Sands of time become sands of doom and gloom. If we don't take action, soon or soon, it's about to hit the fan, you can't perfume the room. Identify who is who. Just cause he black, he ain't black, God, who is you? Ambassador O for show. More soul to soul than the Costa Nostra. Make the Holy Ghost catch the rope of dope. Rope and smoke the Pope, I don't vote. vote. No, I revolt. Reveal like Kaiser Sose. The unusual suspect spreading hope to all my folks.
So you see the imagery. You heard him say, "No, I don't vote. I revolt." Okay. I heard him say it. You understand what I'm saying? I heard him say it.
I heard it as well.
So the imagery is there. You know, it's there to go through different aspects of entrepreneurship, trials, tribulations, all of these things, and full of resources for you to go and do your research. Oh, what books can I read? Oh, where can I go find it out on the web? Or, you know, all of these things were carefully considered in order to utilize the best of these volumes. This volume is 19 pages, Crown Prince. Okay? I give you an example. My son, I was like, yo, you read my book? He's like, not yet, Daddy. I said, yo, it's 19 pages. He said, oh, that's it? I'm about to read it right now. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
my
sir.
sons, they read books all the time. They into something. I said, yo, it's 19 pages. You ain't read that book? I'm about to read it right now. Now they walking around. You gotta check them out. Crown Prince. They're like, yeah, you know, my daddy out here writing books. You know what I'm saying? They got a little bop for them. My daddy out here writing books. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what your daddy doing. My daddy out here writing books, fam. You understand? So that's where their mind is now. So again, that was the proof that if you kept these volumes short and concise, but packed with information, it would begin to spark the brain, and you know, folks would take to it. So if my sons would read it, there's children that would read it. They would look at it. They could look at it with their parents. They could look at it with their grandparents. They could look at it with their community organizations and all of that. And at the end, we have a call to action from the hip hop world. One half of arguably the greatest duo in hip hop history. Duo is two for those that are listening, right? General Steele of Smith & Wesson. And, you know, brother, he reached out to me, you know, Crown Prince. He reached out to me. He's like, yo, I see what you're doing. How can I be a part of it? You know, I want to send you some money. And I was like, your money's no good. Told him your money's no good. I said, your voice is eternal. Your money could be for a moment, but your voice will be here forever. So I said, if you could give a salute and a call to action for them to support our laudable efforts, that'll last forever. And he looked at me and was like, I got you, God. That's it. So at the end of this volume, the call to action comes from one of those noteworthy ones that's uncompromising, that continues to move. And he saw what we were doing and he wanted to support. So I'm like, hey, you do this. So this is his salute to Do the Knowledge Radio and the call to action to garner some support for what we're doing.
Still calling down. For the 50 years of hip hop, support the God Knowledge Forum, Do the Knowledge Radio, 8 years. The knowledge is the accumulation of all facts. People of God the earth.
So you get that in that volume right there.
That's beautiful.
That's volume 1. See what I'm saying? So you get to see that knowledge in activation. You see what I'm saying? And you saw the book title. So I told you, Crown Prince, I'm writing the books in the book series. That's what my mind was. It was like, all right, we're gonna crowdfund to do these documentaries and write these other books. And these books came and was like, we need to be written right now. Move out the way. You see what I'm saying? Move out the way. You get back to them. Write these volumes. So it's going to be a 10-volume set in all, but the first 5 volumes are in circulation right now.
Can you just real quick, just name the themes of all 5 volumes that's currently out?
Okay. Volume 1 is dedicated to the entrepreneur. Volume 2 is dedicated to our life sustaining institution. Okay. The Black woman. Okay. Our mothers, our wives, our daughters, our sisters, our nieces, our cousins, our sanctuary, our refuge. The cherisher and sustainer on the earth. Her. So in the midst of all of this chaos and confusion and all of these gender wars and all of these monkeys that are out here on these platforms monkeying around, right? They volcano worthy to me. I wish I could round them all up and dump them in the volcano. But they're out here advocating for the devil.
Yeah.
They're advocating for the devil in spirit and in truth. So the devil doesn't have to walk up and down in the earth seeking whom they should devour. We have miscreants from amongst us and every place else, bringing them to the devil for the devil to devour. So if what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us was true, a nation can rise no higher than its woman. If you teach a woman, you can teach a nation. And the words of Hajj Malik al-Shabazz, brother Wali, affectionately known to the world as Minister Malcolm X, could be true, saying the most unprotected woman and rejected woman on the planet is the Black woman. How could that still be true in 2024? And we talking about all of these strides for change and all of these things that are happening.
Yeah.
How could these things be true? So volume 2 is dedicated to the Black woman. And, the soundtrack for this particular volume came from my brother who was just in the chat, Killer Priest. I came to him, told him what I was doing, and asked him permission to utilize a song from the album he dedicated to his mother, who transitioned, and he made this for all of us who are here physically without that umbilical cord that cherished us and sustained us when we couldn't sustain ourselves. So it was something that he allowed me to utilize as a gift to enthralling to have that spark. So volume 2 is dedicated to the Black woman. Volume 3 and volume 4 are dedicated to the revolution, to the revolutionaries, to those revolutionary thought leaders and those revolutionary perspectives. When we found ourselves in a position like now, we rebelled.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't vote. We revoked. Okay, you heard what my brother said. We revolted and we continue to revolt. So the reason for the Civil War was there were 250 insurrections on plantations across the United States. 250. So you come from a people who fight, not from a people who compromise, not from a people who assimilated. You know what it means to be a prisoner of war? So they fought. This is why you still fight. Whether you fight yourselves or somebody else, you continue to fight. When you find yourself in a situation where you're held captive or held hostage, you're held against your will, you try every means possible to escape and to fight. That's natural. It's instinctual. It becomes counterproductive when you find yourself in a space where you no longer fight, where you get comfortable in this tyrannical state, in this fallen state, in this low state. So that's volume 3 and volume 4. And volume 5 is dedicated to sustainability and contingency operations in the realm of science, technology, engineering, and math. No, engineering, arts and math, STEAM. So, with your permission, sir, if I can go through these volumes.
Please.
See what's going on here. All right, so This song that's on this soundtrack for Volume 2, dedicated to the black woman, is a song by Killer Freeze called Mother, dedicated to his mother and to our mothers.
Okay, it's your mother.
And that's his mother's voice right there.
See if you got on the safe side. Give me a call so I won't worry. Love you. Bye.
I woke up out of a good night's sleep and slipped right into a daydream that may seem like a lifetime. Then the night rewind to this light shine upon my face as I awake to daydreaming to chase demons way to the evening till I'm sleeping. Then I awake freezing, I start screaming. It's late, sharp breathing, my heart still beating. Running through the pocket patch, thunderclap, lightning, rain, rivers running from the gaps, valleys, plains, hills, cornfields, sun and path, running back above the map. Is this sleep deprivation, or am I on deep medication? Am I meditating till I'm asleep, but I keep awakening? I'm searching for the requiem inside my mind's aquariums, trying to break free from this lucid entrapment. Using music as my blueprint for magic, my inception to my insurrection for madness. Blessed be priest message, each record's a classic. Pray there's no wreckage when her spirit exit the casket. I called her mommy till she's wrapped like a mummy. My first spaceship was her tummy. I ate what she ate when I'm hungry. Humbled, my arms crumbled as the grapes was taken from me. I shook like a quake, her spirit lift like a ship from a lake. Comfort me, when they come for me, I'ma embrace the entire space, the sun and sea. Then shout, Mom, you did great. Wonderfully, I came from the thunder inside your belly, healthy with 1 or 2 teeth. You taught me to speak, then God told me to preach and gave me a sword for his head. I'ma take hold of the beast. Soon as your soul release, I'ma let go of peace. Now I'm ready for the war that was shown to me. I'm the devil's hunter, that's the spirit I'm under. I'ma chase you to nightfall, to the sun up, to break the chains of asunder. I have insomnia, on my way to the Andromeda. Study the planets like an astronomer. Interstellar, I'm telling with the elders from South America. I'm 51, am I familiar with that area? I'm with the healers when I wrote Rocket to Nebula. My veins are filled with the answer.
And that's Volume 2, and at the end we have the video with an interview with myself and Killer Freeze going through this magnanimous album, Mother, and sharing some of his insights and thoughts. And I thought in my mind that would be a magnificent ode, this love letter, from our mothers, for our sisters, for our daughters. We have fallen out of touch and out of balance and out of alignment with the wombs that gave us birth. In Islam, they teach don't cut off relations with the wombs that bore you. And they give more credence to the institutions. That's what they're really saying, versus your mother. Your mother, right? Your mother. I don't believe you that you say that you love God and you got an issue with your mother. I don't believe you. I don't believe that you value anything or anyone on the planet in existence. I don't think you love anyone or anything. If you got issues with your mother, this is why you're here. This is why you're here. Your mother and your father are the reasons why you're here. So, mother is under attack. They got mother, Crown Prince. Mother is called birthing person now because of some fools who think that they could replace mother, as if they could ever. Birthing person, like there's somebody else that's giving birth. You understand? So the necessity to unsheath the sword and vanquish these entities and this energy surrounding mother in a space of degradation, there is no coincidence that these young black women are being targeted, that are being trafficked, that organs are being harvested. All of these things are happening, and this sexual delusion space is happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So who's there for mother? Who's there for our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, our wives, our cousins? Who's there for them? Who's there for them? we standing in the path where it looked as if we're in direct opposition to one another. They're fighting against us and we're fighting against them because of these virtual spaces and the artful, deceptive work that our enemies are doing to have us fratricidally and menticidally and spiritually being severed and disconnected from one another. Ain't the devil happy? So this volume is dedicated to reinvigorate the spark of how our mothers and sisters and daughters and wives see themselves. Because that little hat in the jewelry factory is making sure that they are manufacturing things of ill repute when it comes to us. Manufacturing imagery that's of ill repute. So every time we see each other, when we see each other, we're at war with one another. The only time we're not at war with one another when we see each other if it's same sex.
Yeah.
That's not by accident. That is by design. So if we don't value her and honor her, our enemies are going to exploit her. Our enemies are going to take hold of her and ravage her and sell her. If we are who we say we are, then we owe a supreme debt to participate in her honor. Because without her, there is no life. Without her, there is no life on any level. So we owe a debt seemingly in that space in regards to mother and understand who mother is. So this volume is dedicated, this wisdom degree is dedicated to that divine wisdom, that Shekinah, that Sophia, right? All of those aspects of that divine essence, that womb that we descend from.
Brother, as I'm listening to you and as we look how you, just even the first 5 portions and parts of this series of ebooks, it's almost like it's a confluence, right, of the foundational principles of nation building, understanding entrepreneurship, understanding the most sacred soil in the universe, which is the womb of the black woman, understanding those who have toiled and fought and bled and died and sacrificed for our behalf, that they would bring into existence a new thought, a new paradigm, and a new zeitgeist in a time in which we have fallen completely into despair and a dejected nature, and then coming out of it, right, into a greater consciousness of what is to come. And brother, man, that's phenomenal, man. I'm interested in what the next 5 are going to outline in detail. This disposition that you have been doing for the last 20 plus years, brother. In particular, I know it's longer than that, but in particular, on what has been the reality of our fall, but what is the reality of our rise and the sustaining of that sense of prominence in which we are coming into. And that's what I see, that's what I hear. That book on the black women, the 100 influential black women, that you need to know. That's a requisite read for my daughters, brother. That's why I was telling you earlier that I realized, I have to teach this to my children, right? Like they have to know that, because even though they're exposed to, and this ain't no degradation, but they're exposed to, even in my home, right? The seriousness and the and the strictness of how we conduct ourselves in this wall, the reality is they have to leave, and they're influenced, or they're exposed to, rather, I ain't gonna say influence, but yeah, you can't exposure,
Right.
is a result,
Yes.
influence. So to the Sexy Reds and to all of that. So to
Mm-hmm.
combat that with
Yes.
the Fannie Lou Hamers,
Mm-hmm.
with those great Queen Mother Moores, with the
Mm-hmm.
great minds of Ida B. Wells and Queen Mother Betty Shabazz and Coretta Scott King, and on and on and on and on, right? Mother Clara Muhammad, and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
My mother, Angel Muhammad, your mother, our mothers, right?
Right.
It's
Yes.
so
Yes.
it's so essential that they get that reality. So, man, gratitude and props, brother, again for what you're doing. As we wrap up, brother, because you special guest, so I try to keep it an hour, but I had to extend it because I know even if we went 3 hours, it wouldn't be enough time to exhaust your wisdom and information and the importance. I want to leave you with the last word, but before we even get to that, brother, I just want you to just real quick let the audience know how they can support you, how they can get access to these books, how can they be tied in to Do the Knowledge Radio so they can be informed, and whatever other newsletter or informational social media platforms so they can know when the next 5 come out, and also the docuseries that's coming out, and all that you're doing and all that you continue to do.
If you permit me, Crown Prince, like 3 minutes, I want to go through and let them see volume 3,
Oh, yes, sir.
4,
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
5.
Please.
Just really quick. I'll be brief.
Go ahead.
Volume 3 and volume 4, as I said, is
I gotta let you
dedicated
go
to
real quick, brother, because you honor our father, Prince ICL, in these rights. So I would
Yes, sir.
I'd
Yes, sir.
be outright disrespectful if I didn't know. So please, brother, go
So
right ahead.
volume 3 and volume 4 are dedicated to our revolutionary thought leaders. So what comes out of her womb is the best part. Understanding is the best part. Understanding is to see things clearly for what they are and not for what they appear to be. If we are suckers and we commingle with one another, we know each other in that way, and we calculate, we give birth to who we are. So if you're a sucker, you're gonna give birth to suckers. You're gonna give birth to suckers. But if you on this path righteously and you want to give birth to those who are going to be change agents, then you need to give birth to change agents. Okay, so volume 3 is dedicated to that understanding of what that is. If you want revolutionary thoughts and ideas, if you want to win, then you have to produce those who are in that lane and equip them with the skills necessary from mind and heart and being to be that. So, Voices of the Diaspora, Volume 3 is Black Revolutionary Leaders from Africa to America. So, again, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have people and processes that are already here in circulation for us to be able to look at their blueprints, their accomplishments, their successes, and their failures and learn how to operate. So, just looking at this volume really quick right here. Volume 3. And as Crown Prince alluded to, yes, our Baba is in this volume. All right, so let's go through it real quick. Our brother Bomani from United Front gave me permission to utilize his song as the soundtrack for that. So it's a love letter to revolution.
Yeah. Peace, African. You let our family know what's really going on out here and what we need to do. That time is upon us. It's the time of decision.
Dear revolution, you eliminate confusion. And my ancestors said you might be the solution. Help us get free so we can build the institutions. Currently we losing, see the children reproducing. They looking up the rappers, drug dealers, and the crackers. Just like another brother, ain't no scrapping, they just clap them. This cracker want it all.
Brother, I can't hear you on your end.
Mic check, mic check.
There you go.
I said, we have our Baba, Prince Asiel Ben Israel, here in honor and in ode to a movement and a story that's not quite yet told in the way that I would like to see it. So that's one of my tasks and one of my goals to properly present this beautiful Exodus, this beautiful Exodus, and present him in the space of honor, one who influenced my life personally and influenced the life of so many continuously. So in honor of your father, there was no way I could have this volume together and we start talking about revolutionary thought and ideology and don't include him. Yeah, that's it would be a grave error and a miscalculation on my part. So there was no way. You understand? There was no way. And there's not enough ink or typing that I could do with my fingers to properly present such a great life and his legacy and his works. But I wanted a pictorial image of him doing what we love to see him do and what you continue to do and what your family continues to do and the families of the lives that he touched forever. So right next to Malcolm X, there was no way that these two weren't going to be parallel to one another. So that same sacred space in regards to revolutionary leaders. So honest to Baba. And you see the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey and Queen Nani of the Maroons, in the same space. Right. So we have Cujo, we have Francisco Mendez. So we're looking throughout the diaspora, through the Caribbean, in every place. We revolted everywhere. So we have energy and inspiration to draw strength from every single aspect right here. So again, you see His Excellency Idi Amin Dada, you see Patrice Lumumba and so many others. We have a rich history and legacy of resistance. So this is something to delve into. This is why both of the volumes are dedicated to it. In this video, there was no way I could talk about or feature His Excellency Idi Amin Dada and not include my brother Bomani of United Front and his trip to Uganda, with this epic song, My God and My Gun. In the interest of time, I won't play it, but it's available with this volume right here. So I'll go to the next volume and share this. Volume 4, Voices of the Diaspora, Warriors of Freedom and Black Liberators Around the Globe. And this is, again, a part 2 dedicated to revolutionary thought and ideology from around the globe and those minds and people who put it on the line. So from the mother continent all through the diaspora. So another opportunity here. And this is the Warrior volume, so we have to have a Warrior soundtrack. So my Nasu from Hanin Su, Nasu Unkpanu, he's at the beginning of this, and this song is from the greatest of all time, Tahir RBG, a true revolutionary activist in the minds and the hearts of showing that proper propaganda campaigns are necessary, and that he gave us an instruction manual with this particular song for traditionalists, and this song is called Power Up. So we'll go through the volume as we listen to this.
I got everything I need. Do it, I'm told to make sure it don't with speed. Think it, then say it, and see it manifest. Work it, then watch my ancestors do the rest. They say I'm eating the devil's food cake. Picture me worrying about what they say. Living their life scary and full of doubt. Put on my talents, but then I ride out. Plot, plan, strategize, divination, no surprise. Situations is going accordingly. Moving without it, I can't afford it, G. Readers is bad, means it's a no-go. Forces detecting something I don't know. Humble down, salute ranks, elevate, give thanks.
So, Prince, I don't want you to shake the camera and knock the screen over or nothing. You understand what I'm saying? It is a warrior volume. You know, the drums get the drumming, and
yes,
you know that warrior spirit that you possess, you know, come to light. So this is Flags Fly High, the video that's included with the volume. So again, something visually aesthetic. You see the creativity, you see the thought, you see everything that came together in this particular volume series to have your mind enthralled, to have you excited, to have you powered up, to have you on charge, for you to be able to do what you need to do. So the last volume I'll share right now is volume 5. And this is Voices of the Diaspora, Empowering Minds, Black Innovators Who Transform STEAM. Okay, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, dealing with both hemispheres of your brain, your analytical and creative side. So contingency, sustainability, operations. We got a lot of philosophical information, Crown Prince. We got a lot of philosophical information with people, and they're real philosophical and they're real deep, but the tangibles are not present.
Yeah.
They can't build anything. They say they're building and they can't build anything. So in the interest of forward planning and forecasting, we have to support and bring up a future generation of not only critical thinkers, but of master builders again. So critical thinkers and master builders with the talent skills that are necessary to be able to construct this nation that we're seeking to build it from the ground up. From an architectural space, from an agricultural space, from a militaristic space, from an artistic space, from a mathematical space, all of the things that are necessary. You know, I was talking to Nisu yesterday on an interview, and young African children shouldn't be walking around talking about they hate math and they hate reading and they hate science. Oh, I'm no good at that. I'm math dumb. You hear grown people talking like that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Oh, math. Oh, no. Get that math out of here. Now, what are you talking about? So the kind of mind that we need to view for some of these great thinkers, these future leaders and master builders is to equip them with the skills, be it science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And, you know, your enemy gives you STEM in school. They talk about STEM and they take the arts out of it. Artfully, okay? So they don't want you in that space thinking about the arts and its relationship to mathematics or engineering or technology or science, and all of this all in contained. If you construct something, that's a mathematical equation on how it was constructed.
Yeah.
So these things work together. These are a work of art. You understand what I'm saying? So let's deal with this last volume right here. And the soundtrack to this particular volume is an artist that I'm working with, very, very talented, multifaceted artist by the name of Kai Zodiac. And this song that he has is called Sacred Geometry. So I'm going to go through this volume and then I'll close.
In order to read the pyramids, we must make an adjustment in our thinking. Once made, we achieve the fine-tuning necessary for the decoding process. Why are they exactly where they are and designed the way they are? Ask these questions and answers begin to flow.
Before word was born, the light and sunshine gave birth to the circle, and rays became lines that divided each hour, and days became time. Sacred geometry, mind detect mind. Symbols surround you, they're there all the time. Yo, wise blind leading the blind, says nothing on face value. What's behind is a message that's subliminal, be between the signs. They say a symbol speaks 1,000 words, my thoughts speak 1,000,000 symbols. Brilliant mental, the code, the instrumental. That's why I got the lyrics, my flow is so influential. So is the exposure unknown to its potential. The mind comprehends everything that it sees, but it's all the same symbols that vary in their degrees. 1,000 leagues under the images that you see, from the unseen thoughts in the abyss of a dream that keeps repeating different ways in an infinite stream with rhythm between, flowing like a mystical being. The gleam of light becomes sound, sound becomes physical material, a symbol blow a kiss to my queens. I'm the ghost in the machine, the myth in the theme, patterns and shapes formed in the magic of space by the motions of the planets floating, flowing with grace and dance beautifully. The music you see and everything vibrations that heaven sing. The voices of the angels hum a tune around Saturn was holding my wedding ring. A sound with no meanings like a Scorpio that never stings. See me style on the rocks, at least the island love a song in Angkor Wat. One in Stonehenge, one in Machu Picchu, the Giza, number coordinates, and simple math that's in advance you never thought of it. Hey, you died at your sight, I count up precise. While I stopped along the road to smell the flower of life, still tipsy off the fountain of Christ, who's still with me, the mystic architect, the whole.
So again, another volume. This volume was a little bit longer than the other volumes because I wanted to give the credence and ode to all of the aspects: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So again, you could take any one of these volumes and you have a curriculum. You could take one person a day and have your group do a project or do some research or whatever the case may be. It's someone for them each day to be able to go through. In these 5 volumes, you'll find some sort of spark, some sort of question, some kind of courageous conversation, some kind of build, some sort of discussion, all of that right there. You asked how they could get the volumes. There's 2 ways for them to get the volumes. You can get them via Cash App. See the Cash App here, Cash App. $ knowledge won't allow you. That goes directly to me. And if you put your email in the subject line, I will email you those volumes, just like Crown Prince got them. Okay, I ain't out here scamming. It's saying you get something that you don't. All 5 volumes are on sale. They're $9 each, or you can get the bundle for $36. If you do this through Cash App, it goes directly to me and nobody gets a cut. But if you want to order them from my website, you can do so here, DudeKnowledgeRadio.com. You scroll down a little bit, you see them right here. All of the volumes, volume 1 through 5, and you can get the bundle right here for $36. So essentially, you're paying for 4 volumes and you're getting 1 free. So this is a great opportunity right now for the price point, because as I add volumes, so does the volume price increase. So $36, you're basically getting 1 for free. And if you order it here through, and it goes through PayPal take their cut, and I get a little something of it. You understand what I'm saying? I get something, but they're here, they're available either way.
Before you get off that screen, I don't want to break your wisdom, but I just want to make it known to my audience and even to some of your audience who may be familiar, but sometimes it's best to see the hardcore numbers. 3,400 episodes is what this brother, Knowledge Born of Law, has recorded. 1,800 guests. That's how many people he has had on his platform, and he's been doing it almost a decade. I just want to reiterate those numbers. He's done over 3,400 episodes with over 1,800 guests. Please, brothers and sisters, and I don't use that lightly, let's support our brother, man. Not one of those 3,400 episodes has anything degrading black people, men, women, or child. Not one episode is dedicated to anything that's not constructive and redemptive and advancing. Not one guest is a person who's a damn fool who's coming on there to give a counter narrative to black empowerment. You know how hard it is to find 1,800 serious-minded people, but it's not that hard when you're willing to omit celebrity and popularity for the sincerity of the people who are genuinely in it for our advancement. Now, you ain't gonna find 1,800 popular, widely known guests that's gonna come on, but you will find 1,800 people who sincerely doing the work that are unknown in the bowels of North America and throughout the diaspora and throughout the planet, who's striving to do better for our people. So, brother, I just want to thank you again for all that you've done on behalf of freedom, justice, and
that
equality.
number is kind of off. It's more like 3,000 guests. Some of the episodes were not. They didn't have a guest, so it's more like 3,000 guests, not 1,800. So we still have an audacious goal of telling 1 million Black stories from around the globe. So, 3,400 is a deposit. You understand? It's a deposit, a small deposit, in a larger number. With the proper propaganda campaign that we're pushing, we want to represent our people righteously. So every book that's there, every opportunity that I get to put these books in front of the world, in our construction of DTK Multimedia Production Company, where we get our films, where we get our books, where we get our music. You heard the music. Nobody called you the N-word or the B-word. Nobody insulted your intelligence. Nobody talked down to you. Nobody was talking to you crazy. Everything was inspiring and uplifting, and we want to continue to put that in the forefront and have that be a proper propaganda tool to be utilized in the space of weaponizing the ingenuity and empowerment of us versus the detriment and the degradation, because we think we need some sort of edutainment or sort of trauma bond in regards to this other space. Again, that whole parasitic relationship. We think we need the parasite. We don't need the parasite. God is sufficient at the disposal of our affairs. So if we look back towards the God within and the God without, then we don't have to worry about devil advocacy out here. So again, this opportunity to come before you tonight with one of my elders. He said one of my teachers. He was being dope with it because he's very prolific with his speech. All right, one of my elders. Honest to him and his divine royal family. I love them all. My life is for them. My life is for them. And opportunity for this Voices of the Diaspora series. If you wanted to be a part of that 1 million whose stories are told righteously, either via the book, the documentary, interview, whatever the case may be, through Knowledge Radio at Gmail, or you can catch me wherever this word, how it's spelled right here, D-O-T-H-A. D-O-T-H-E, I don't know who you're going to get, but you're not going to get me. D-O-T-H-A, K-N-O-W-L-E-D-G-E-R-A-D-I-O. The goal, the aim, the objective is to tell 1 million Black stories righteously. So if you want to be a part of that proper propaganda campaign into the future, if you think about 10,000 or 100,000 years from now, when our future generations look back through this glorious past, how will they find you? How will they find you? And in what likeness will you be presented to them? Will you be presented to them in the way of the defectors or the detractors, or will you be on the side, the right side of history? So that's really up to you and what you do. So, Crown Prince, thank you for the opportunity to address your audience, and we're going to keep on keeping on. righteously.
Well, brother, it's not more to say. I want to say one thing. Again, I want to commend you because just listening to what you've done, even reading some of the comments, I want to just quickly acknowledge you got some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful brothers and sisters who support and follow you, who left some very encouraging and profound comments. So definitely go back and look at that, brother. I posted them on the page as well, the screen, so the viewers could see it. But the blessing that we've had to be able to read, right? What do I mean by that? A lot of people, it's not that they don't even have the desire. They don't have the opportunity to go through books and books and books, hundreds and thousands of pages of some of the greatest minds and read and mull over it and study it just based on lifestyle. So that's a blessed opportunity for us to have the opportunity to study our history in such detail and to be able to investigate and delve into some of the greatest minds, that's put down on paper. But knowing that we have that gift, we try to make it our responsibility to take the wisdom and not malign it or compromise it, but take the wisdom from those who we study and give it to our people who don't have the opportunity to. But you took us a step further, brother, and you created digestible, cogent, and concise literary devices that our people who are older, that may not have the time to read a 500, 600 page book like The Crisis of the Negro Intellectual, but can still get the essence of something like that in what you have written in 19 pages, right? Or what's even more important that we a lot of time omit as a responsibility, training the children, because that's ideally the best time before they become in working age, and their time is mostly dedicated to their craft and developing the resources to take care of themselves and their family. Put it in them young. There's not any information that your children should not be made aware of, especially when it's empowering. There's nothing too big or nothing too complex or nothing too deep that they shouldn't be able to digest if you make it consistent and you make it relevant to their lifestyle and their future. And brothers and sisters, that's what Brother Knowledge Born Allah is doing, and that's what he has done, and I commend you, brother, so very, very much. I'll say this. You see, I got the little B on my lapel. I did that because, as you know, as a Quranic scholar as yourself, the B, as it says, takes the best parts and he spreads it around. And that's what my father trained me to do. You take truth wherever you can find it, and you make it a part of who you are, and then you disperse and you dispense it to your people. And that's what you've done, brother. Through that audacious but achievable goal of documenting 1 million African stories. You're taking the best parts of us, brother, and you're giving us an opportunity for many of us who would never have an opportunity to hear these stories, to be made aware, to be made abreast of the beauty and the majesty of our history, but also our present, so that we know we have a future that is not bleak and full of blight, but one that is not just prosperous, but one that is as beautiful as we want to make it, because we have the power in our hands, brother. So that is my final words. Again, my brother, Knowledge Born Allah, host of Do the Knowledge radio show, and now an author. Please go support him. Please continue to support his page, subscribe to his YouTube page. Hell, you might be a guest on his platform one day, and then he will concretize you in history so that your story can be told forevermore. Without further ado, we thank the God of creation. We thank our ancestors. We thank all of those who sacrificed their lives so that we can be here. We thank our elders. We thank those who are in the fight right now. And we thank those who are coming behind us, those future generations that will take what we have done and those who preceded us and build upon it and take it somewhere else. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, in the words of peace. Shalom alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you.
my way to Bootsy Bello, where hella